For the first time, more Americans support rather than oppose the impeachment of President Donald Trump. This is based on a poll conducted by the admittedly left-leaning PPP, which found that 48% of Americans now support, while only 41% of Americans oppose the impeachment of President Donald Trump. Now, yes, you could say, well, the pollster is liberally biased, David. It's worth nothing to us. The key point is that according to the same poll, which has been conducted for the last 3 months, Americans used to be divided on the impeachment of Trump. Now Americans are +7 on the impeachment of Trump over the non-impeachment of Trump. A +7 margin for impeachment is absolutely historic. For reference, when Richard Nixon first hit more people being in favor of impeachment than against, it was after the Saturday Night Massacre. I keep calling it the Saturday Night Live Massacre. There's plenty of massacres of the Trump administration happening on SNL. After the Saturday Night Massacre, we had a plurality of Americans supporting the impeachment of Richard Nixon by a 1-point margin, 44 to 43. We're talking about a 7-point margin now, 48 to 41. And you'll recall that with the Nixon scandal, the resignation took 10 months after the Saturday Night Massacre when we finally got to a plurality supporting impeachment. We're already at +7 on this, Pat.
And it's not just the polling, too. It's also the Vegas odds, which shows that people are putting their money where their mouth is.
Yes.
If you look at PredictWise, it has it as a 27% chance that Trump leaves office by the end of the year. Now, that could be by death, impeachment, or resigning under threat of impeachment.
Sure.
But regardless, that's remarkable.
Even more remarkable is that the data, the 48 to 41 data in favor of impeachment was collected from May 12th to 14th. So that's after Trump fired FBI Director James Comey, but it's before Donald Trump leaked classified information to Russian diplomats in the Oval Office. So the portion of Americans that want Trump impeached, the next time this poll is done and that leak, the Russian Oval Office leaks, are sort of considered in people's responses, we could be above 50% of the country supporting impeachment of Donald Trump.
You know, it's interesting. I'm a progressive. I follow the news every day, and I don't think that we're at the point yet where we can call for the impeachment of Donald Trump. I think the only thing that could really do it would be the Russian investigation bearing some fruit. And I think for that, you need a smoking gun.
Well, there's a couple things. You're right in the sense that we may still need more, which it sort of feels like we're on the cusp of, but we don't know, right? But there's another aspect to these numbers, which is a lot of people don't realize that impeaching the president is not firing the president, right? Impeachment is a type of indictment. Donald Trump could be removed from office if found guilty of the impeachable offenses. But just an impeachment, it's sort of saying it's an accusation. Too many people are saying they don't support impeachment because they think if I say I want to impeach, I'm saying I want to fire Trump. Supporting impeachment just means you believe there's enough concern to start this process of investigation. And I think if people fully understood that, you'd see way more than 48% say, yeah, well, I'm in favor of that.
Right. So the House impeaches and then the Senate convicts. And it's actually happened twice in American history where a president was impeached, both Andrew Johnson and Bill Clinton. But in both cases, they were able to survive being removed from office.
That's right. Bill Clinton was impeached, but you might remember he did not resign and he was not removed from office. Also from this poll, just one other interesting bit of data. The poll also asked people's opinion about the firing of James Comey. 37% said they supported the firing of James Comey. 48% said that they opposed the firing of James Comey. It would be interesting if in the next poll, in addition to do you want to impeach or not, they ask some kind of question ascertaining people's view of the Russian Oval Office leaks of classified information. Meanwhile, if you want to separate yourself from this left-leaning poll from PPP, we've got the Gallup Daily Tracking Poll, which has been tracking presidential approval daily for something like 40 years in the exact same way. Donald Trump is again nearing new lows. We talked about a month ago, Donald Trump was down to 37%, maybe 36% low. I don't remember exactly. Trump popped back up to low 40s, and he's now back down to 38% approval as of 2 days ago. May 15th, down back to 38. 38 statistically could be the same as 36 because we've got a margin of error of about 3. We are talking about a president who is just persistently low in terms of approval, and eventually that has to have an impact as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, but of course, the Constitution mandates that you have bribery, treason, or other high crimes and misdemeanors, and certainly colluding with the Russians to get him elected would qualify. I'm not so sure if obstruction of justice, which we've learned about in the past week or so, would also qualify.
I think it would, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's specifically vague, you know?
Yeah,
High crimes and misdemeanors isn't defined.
That's why there's this sort of argument that it's just ripe for political manipulation, which is basically like, yeah, high crimes and misdemeanors. If you've got a Republican Senate and a Republican House and an upcoming midterm election and a president whose approval rating is staying in the upper 30s to low 40s, why would Congress move to impeach? If you have the potential of losing your seat in the 2018 midterms with a president whose approval rating maybe drops into the low 30s or upper 20s, then you might have the political decision made for impeachment. And I actually genuinely, there's many aspects of government that I genuinely dislike, but I genuinely dislike that the impeachment process itself is just completely open to be a political manipulation based on the winds of polling at the time.
Yeah. And now we have one Democratic congressman who's actually calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump on the House floor.
Al Green. That's right. Al Green from Texas. And maybe we'll dig into that a little bit more tomorrow.